C, C, CQ.
Hello and welcome back to CQ, the AWS Certification quiz show, where we're here to help you get prepped for your next AWS exam. Today we are going back to our SA exam, our Solutions Architect Associate level exam, and today I've got with me Naja.
Hello everyone.
Tell us a bit about what you do here at AWS.
Yes, thank you very much for having me today. I'm super excited to be here today. My name is Naja Naji. I work as a Solutions Architect here in AWS. I've been here just over 5 years now, and it's been an absolute great journey for me.
And you didn't start as an SA, right?
I didn't start as an SA. So what happened was I joined as a cloud support engineer for the big data team, and then moved as a solutions architect to actually, what I figured out as a solutions architect, we can actually help our customers a lot more with cooler technologies and actually to solve their problem. So this is what I do every day. Go to the customers to figure out what they're trying to do and help them with AWS technologies.
Awesome. So glad to have you here today.
Absolutely.
So Naja actually also gave us our picture for today. So why don't you tell us a bit about our live set today?
Absolutely right. So this is a picture. It's a picture from Machu Picchu. So if for the viewers, if they don't know what Machu Picchu is, so this is an Inca civilization. You can think that it was a lost civilization. So I went to San Francisco, then thought like I want to go Machu Picchu. That was a dream for many years. So we booked a plane, went to Lima, which is the capital, and then went to Cusco. Cusco is the nearest place from Machu Picchu, and Cusco is actually 3,000 meters above the ground level, so you have to acclimatize. It takes a bit interesting stuff to do. It takes a couple of time, and then we hiked into Machu Picchu. It took a couple of hours. Absolute fantastic view. You can see the clouds back there, so you can imagine everything is cloud now. And what you see there is the ruins, and those ruins are something I've never seen anywhere.
Okay.
I would expect everyone to actually go see that. I try to spend as much time as possible with the nature and the historical places. Try to do a lot of bushwalking too, if I could. And this was amazing. You could see from the picture that this is probably looks like out of the world. So yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing it with us today.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to jump into some questions with me?
Absolutely.
So once again, we have been using the official study guide from wiley.com, also available at amazon.com. If any of you are interested, so let's jump into the first question, shall we? Naja?
Let's jump into the questions.
Bit of EC2?
A bit of EC2, yep, that's it. EC2, you can think it's Elastic Compute Cloud, right? And these are the servers. It comes with different sizes, so you can pick and choose which is right for you. So let's jump into the question.
You all right for me to read the question?
Oh, well, yeah, good.
Let's
Saves
do
me
it.
some time.
All right. Your order processing application processes orders extracted from a queue with 2 reserved instances, processing 10 orders per minute. If an order fails during processing, it is returned to the queue without penalty. Due to a weekend sale, the queues now have several hundred orders waiting to be processed.
Okay.
Okay. What is the most cost-effective way to drain the queues so that customers get their confirmation emails faster?
That is it. So normally when I look into a question, what I try to figure out the key points. And the key point I can see is cost-effective is absolutely, you can see that is the point.
That's what we're looking for.
Exactly. And it talks about queue too. So when I think about queue, you think about decoupled architecture, which means that you store the works coming into a queue, and then you process it. And there are different ways to process that. But in queue, it doesn't say which queue.
Nope.
In this case, I would assume SQS, which is simple queuing service for us. And with SQS, you have 2 different ways of queuing. One is normal queuing. Another one is, we call it FIFO queue, which is first in, first out, where you want to process the data which is coming first. You want to process that one first. And also supports duplication checking and a bit more functionality around that.
Okay.
Jump back into the question again.
Let's have a look. So we're looking for cost-effective.
Cost-effective. So I start with 2 reserved instances.
Yep.
For the viewers, reserved instances are you can book an EC2 instance for a year or 3 year. It gives you some cost savings. And the way we think about reserved instances is if you know that this is the amount of processing you will do for over a period of time, you reserve the instances.
Okay.
And back to question, create more queues. I don't know why I would want to create more queues. Queue is already there and it can scale up and down. So I wouldn't do that. One is not going. Two is deploy additional spot instances. I like it, but let's talk about spot instances. So we have capacity available in availability zones within AWS regions, and that capacity fluctuates based on how the customers are using them. So we always have, or we will have spare capacity, and we put it into a spot market where you can go and bid for that capacity.
Absolutely.
So, and that gives you up to 90% of savings.
Yes, for instance,
Yeah, and when I look into the pattern here, it just says the weekend. Like we don't need to reserve instance because it's just in the weekend. So what I would try to do is I will try to spin up the spot instances in the weekend and consume it in parallel as much as I like. So that second one, I keep it. But let's go into the third one. Third one is deploy additional reserved instances. So it's reserved instances. I just need in the weekend. I would not want to reserve it. So spot instances, going back to spot instances again. So spot instances can be taken away from, and you get a 2-minute notice, but you can spin up a different
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Yes. So we can design it in a way. Now we have a queue, so we can actually handle that seamlessly. That is good. So I'm still sticking with the second one. Third one, I'm not going to do it. And fourth one, if you want to pay more, deploy additional on-demand instances. Yeah, I wouldn't do it, but it will work. But it's not the cost efficient.
Which is what we're looking for.
I'm going for the number 2.
You'll be happy to hear that 100% of our viewers online have
Absolutely.
voted number 2
with
you.
You're all with me.
So a nice little reminder for all our viewers to please vote along with us today. Looking in number 2. Number 2,
Absolute
it is.
Great
We're off to a great start.
That is awesome. Thank you, viewers.
Ready?
Yeah, let's
Question 2.
Yeah.
VPC.
Question 2. So Amazon VPC. So VPC is the virtual private cloud. So it's a secure logical network in AWS. So let's go into the question. I've been with many certification. I like to go through it as quickly as possible.
I love it.
But I would also try to give you some tips. Like one tips normally we try to use is looking into the longest answer, right?
Okay.
It doesn't work always.
I was going to say, surely that doesn't work every time.
No, it doesn't. But this question is pretty big, and there's no longest answer here too. So
let's give it a whirl, shall we? All right.
I'll
You
let
have
you
multiple.
read it.
Thank
Sit
you.
back.
Thank you. That'd be great. You have multiple EC2 instances running in a public subnet of an Amazon VPC with auto-assigned public IP addresses. They communicate with another company via an API on the internet. The other company has requested that all calls come from a single IP address. How can you configure this?
Interesting. So we have multiple Amazon EC2 instances running in a public subnet and have auto-assigned IP. So which means that these EC2 instances can have IPs, but that IP is going to change. So that's probably not what we want. It can communicate, yes. They communicate with another company via an API on the internet. So customers would want to whitelist those IPs some of the time. This is why they actually need this fixed address. I would think that is the case here. The other company has requested that all API calls from single IP address are coming from single IP address. So we would want to have one IP. So how can you configure? So the ideal situation would be to configure one IP. In our case, we have something called EIP, which is Elastic IP. You can attach that. That's a single IP. Even if you detach it from the EC2s, it stays with your account. You can attach it back. So I would want to go down that path.
Okay.
But let's go into the answers. Assign an Elastic IP address to the Route 53A record. Assigning an IP address to Route 53A record gives you the pointer to the record, but it doesn't whitelist. So that's probably not I'm going for.
Perfect.
The second one is assign the Elastic IP address to each instances.
Which you just mentioned.
So I wouldn't want to do that because you already picked it up. So I'll put it aside. And the third one, put the instance in a private subnet behind a NAT gateway. So NAT gateway for the viewers is it's a managed NAT gateway from AWS. You can have it in one availability zones, or you can have it in multiple availability zones,
Yep.
and you can attach an elastic IP with that, and
Okay.
you then whitelist that in the other side. So
that
other
sounds
side
pretty
means,
good to me.
it sounds pretty good to me, but I will go through the fourth one too.
Okay.
Turn off the auto-assign public IP address setting. We can do that, but I don't know how it will help here. So I will go with number 3.
Locking in number 3. A quick check
What
on
do you
the
think?
poll.
Let's see what the user says.
Most people are going with you, but we did get a couple on number 2 as well. So let's reveal the answer for question number 2.
Yes.
3 it is.
3 it is.
You didn't have a moment of doubt there, did you?
No, I didn't have. Because I work it
Never.
with it. Yeah. But the second one, like we have, when we go into the answer, we have to look into the most accurate ones.
That's absolutely right.
There can be situations where the other one will be partially okay. So this would be the best answer.
And in that instance, you only just get away with it indeed being the longest answer of the 4.
Just a couple of
By a
words.
few characters.
Few characters. Yeah.
All right, number 3, SQS.
Amazon SQS. We discussed about this in the first question.
We did.
So SQS is simple queuing service. So let's
have a
jump
look.
into it.
What is the most secure way to grant a different AWS account permission to access your Amazon Simple Queue service, Queue?
You can see most secure. Like,
Sounds pretty simple to me.
Okay, secure. Secure is the word which is keeping me
Awake at
thinking
night?
here. No, security is our first
Yeah,
priority. So what we do,
absolutely.
everything evolves around security, and this is pretty important. So the first one is not the answer most of the time, because you configure the queue
No.
to allow public access. Everyone can access. Yes, it can, but
Yep.
do you want to do that? Probably no. You'd want to control.
Definitely getting rid of that one.
So let's say the second one. Create an IAM user for the other AWS account and attach an IAM policy that grants access to the queue. So this means that IAM users, so you can have credentials, and then from AWS account you can have policies to actually access that. So that is one way of handling. So I will still keep this one here, but we'll go to the third one. So the third one is create an Amazon SQS policy that grants the other account access. I like this one because we have 2 different ways of accessing. One is you can have IAM policies, and you can have resource-based
Yep.
policies. So SQS do come with resource-based policies. So where you attach a policy to the resource, here SQS, and just define which account can access that. And that's the most secured way
2
here.
layers of security, yeah.
Yeah,
I like
so
it too.
Yeah. No, I'm almost sure this is it, but let's go into the fourth one. So fourth one is configure a VPC peering connection with the other AWS account. So for the viewers who don't, or VPC peering is a new concept or a new thing for you. So if you have multiple VPCs in different accounts or different regions and they need to communicate, so what you can utilize in AWS is VPC peering. So you can connect these 2 VPCs. But with, let's say, an SQS service is running on VPC A, and in another account, a customer is using a VPC B. But they cannot transit and access the SQS. SQS can be accessed through something called endpoints, VPC endpoints.
Yep.
There are ways to do that. But I'll go with 3. VPC peering is an interesting option. It cannot be done now. I don't know, future. If customers ask for it, we may give them customers that, but I'll go with 3.
Cool. Locking in number 3.
Let's see.
100% online on this one, so you're back to your 100%. Number 3
Awesome.
it is. Going
Our
well,
viewers are
Nigel. We're up to number
fantastic.
4 already.
Everyone is all set to go.
Don't need no more teaching. No, let's get on. Let's get on. Number 4, auto scaling.
Auto scaling, I like it because it's a pretty interesting concept to design cloud native applications, right? You scale up if your demand increases, and you scale down if your demand is not there automatically. The whole idea is
Awesome.
hands off, you do auto scaling. So with auto scaling, you can do that. So there are a couple different services we can actually, utilize with auto scaling.
Mm-hmm.
But for this question, it's more focused on EC2, so I'm going to go with EC2. I'll let you read the question.
All right, you have an Amazon EC2 auto-scaling groups configured across 2 availability zones, fronted by an elastic load balancer. However, the Amazon EC2 instances are continually being terminated and replaced. What could be the cause?
So a couple of points to mention here. That is, auto scaling should automatically terminate and replace the instance if there is an issue or demand goes up. But if it is happening continuously, there's something we need to look at.
So 1 and 2, pretty similar. I'd love to get your.
Yeah, we'll go to that. So before jumping to that, I
Okay.
probably would want to talk about 2 availability zones in front
Fair
with
enough,
an
yep.
ELB. It's a resilient architecture. Everyone should actually try to utilize all those options available in AWS to design fault-tolerant applications. The 1 and 2, now going to the answers. 1 and 2 looks similar. There's 2 different ones which also look similar. The first one is the health check is failing and the check type is set to ELB. So the way elastic load balancing works is you can attach elastic load balancing comes with health checks. So it can do health check, like as an example, it can do ping, or you can have a URL which it checks if it is if the EC2s are available in the back. So that's one sort of one sort of check you have. Another check comes in as EC2 checks. EC2 checks is like basic check if the hardware is okay or impaired or there's something needs to be done to actually bring that one up.
Okay.
So 2 different health checks.
Yeah.
But when we attach an ELB, which is elastic load balancer, to auto scaling group, it actually takes over. So what happens is it will look into the ELB health checks. If the ELB health check saying that the instance is not healthy, it will take over. So I will go with 1, but before going with 1, I want to talk about health checks, which is a pretty important topic, I would think.
Okay, let's do it.
We talked about 2 different ones, which is ELB and EC2. There's also another one which is known as custom health checks.
Okay.
So you can actually have external health checks doing the health check for you and decide if it is a healthy instance or not and take action based on your need.
And what was it called?
Custom health checks. You can use the CLIs and APIs. I forgot the CLI. I would say, like, John, can you please put the reference for CLI? That will be
Nicely done.
pretty useful. Sorry that I can't remember the API. There are too many.
All good.
Yeah. So there are 2 ones, right? So we picked 1. I didn't go with the second one.
Nope.
So let's quickly go into the other 2, which is third one is the minimum number of instances in the auto scaling group has been reached. So if it is minimum, then it shouldn't terminate and replace. So 3 and 4, I would just say that no.
Get rid of.
Yeah,
Locking in number 1.
Locking in number, yes, number 1.
Those eagle-eyed viewers will have seen I actually accidentally already revealed the answer right at the beginning of the question. However, not 100% got it, so I think we almost got away with it.
This is confusing, right? We got it wrong so many times internally too,
right.
because there's too many health checks, but these are there for a reason, and yeah.
Number 1 it was. All right, question number 5.
Oh, we're on to the 5.
On to S3.
Amazon S3. So Amazon S3 has been, I think, I'm not sure if it is the first one, but it's one of the first services we have released. It comes with 11 nines of durability, known as simple storage service. It's been heavily used by the customers. There are a couple, so this is an object storage. There are a couple different storage I can think of, file storage and object storage. So S3 is object storage. Let's go into the question.
Naja, your company has a policy that corporate data must be replicated to multiple data centers. How can this be accomplished for data stored in an Amazon S3 bucket? Nice, easy question.
Yeah, the answer actually is in the question, but I will spell it out for everyone.
That would be great.
Yeah, your company has a policy that corporate data must be replicated to multiple data centers. When you put data in S3, we automatically copy the data across to 3 different, I would say, data centers.
Yep.
It is actually within a couple of different availability zones. So this is done already for you, for the customers, so that in case of if some issue happens, we still have other copies for backup and utilization. So to me, if you put it in, it should work because this is the requirement you have. But I will still read the answers to see what it actually
Let's
says.
do it.
Right? Activate versioning on the bucket. You don't need versioning to actually meet this requirement, but I will talk about versioning. Version is very critical for many customers where actually they want to see if the data has been updated, they want to go back to the previous data, and some other like a disaster recovery or some other requirements. You can do it with S3, couple of clicks. It will actually save the versions for you. And that's pretty useful in some scenario. But it's not the
But
answer.
replicates in the same place. Right?
So if you version it, what happens is we create pointers in the back, but you have the data sitting in S3. Okay, number 2. I'm not going with one now. Do you like one?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't.
I don't think our viewers would like it too, but let's see. Second one, activate cross-zone replication and select a bucket in different availability zone. So this is already done. You don't need to do anything to actually have this.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go do this. The third one, activate cross-region replication and select bucket in a different region. This is pretty interesting because many times customers come to us saying that we actually have a multi-region strategy, or we have customers in different region where we need to copy the data across to another region, and those are the times I see a lot of customers starts using cross-region replication.
At least this one exists. I'm not sure cross-zone replication even
Oh,
exists.
this is
right?
cross-region replications. Yep, the term is a bit different here. I thought. Thanks for picking it up. It's a pretty useful feature. I would ask the question whoever have written to actually update it to have something meaningful. Cross-region replication is also there, so it can be pretty heavily used and utilized. That's okay. So next one is no configurations request. Absolutely right. It's provided by default. Here you go. Yeah, that's the answer for you.
60% agreeing with you online. Interesting.
It is interesting.
It is, right?
It is very interesting. There's a
lot gone with number 3.
Number 3, activate cross-region. Yeah, I think the question was a bit interesting here. People will pick up the third one.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's actually done automatically.
Let's check. Number 4 it is.
Yeah. Tricky questions. Shouldn't have tricky questions.
IAM. Ready?
Yeah, ready. So IAM is I'll let you read the question.
Oh, I get to read the question first? Okay, let's go. What type of IAM entity would you assign to an on-prem application that needs to communicate with Amazon S3?
So I'll go with IAM first. IAM is identity and access management. This is how you actually control who gets access to what and assign access to some other places too if they need access to AWS. So it's
perfect.
Yep, perfect. So let's go to the question. What type of IAM entity would you assign to an on-premises application that needs to communicate with Amazon S3? So it's an on-premises application. So there are a couple different ways on-premises application can communicate to AWS. Most of the all the calls will be API calls. To actually do an API call with Amazon S3, you need credentials. So there are different ways to get credentials.
Interestingly enough, you pointed that out. Everyone had gone for number 3, and as soon as you pointed that out, they've started changing their decision.
I think people got it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, keep going, please.
yeah, let's keep going. That is, IAM users. So users can be Naja or MJ. You create a user. It can have keys which can access. And next one is IAM application. So I'm keeping IAM user still here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, IAM application. I don't know what that is. I've never heard about that, but maybe someone is creating an application with IAM, but they need credentials. So it
Maybe just a bit of a distractor.
Yeah.
In the answers there. Yep.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, you can
The
do
most
it
popular one on the poll still.
You can do it with IAM role for sure, but to actually utilize IAM role, you need credentials which will be assigned by a user. So there's the users, you can think of this way, you can have single sign-on from your organization, federated identities, maybe OIDC or SAML compliance identities. So there can be different ways to get those credentials, but it will have to come from the user. So I will still with user. 3 is not wrong, but 3 is not the best one.
It's not. That's exactly right.
So
good tip for questions as well. You always
yes,
got to try and find the best solution.
Ones, right? IAM bucket policy. Are you going to go with the answer? Like IAM bucket policy, I will just quickly say you can assign bucket policies with S3, where you can define who gets which account gets access to that. But I just want to point out something else here too. So there's something called S3 pre-signed URL, where you can actually assign and give a URL to a user to one object for a specific period of time, and they can just access that. It's a very secured way of doing it. I would really love if John actually put that one in.
Perfect.
I would actually want to see that in the question too instead of I am application.
Okay, there we go.
I am user here.
Good call out.
Yeah.
So locking in?
Yep. Let's do it.
Number 1, 100%. Only 20% ended up going with it, but of course, number 1 it is.
This is tricky, yes.
I like that one though.
You like it?
Yeah, I do. Got to think about it.
Need to talk.
All right. Number 7, RDS. And this is probably the last question of the day. So you ready for this one?
Yeah, let's do it. I love RDS.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Your Amazon Aurora MySQL database is running out of storage space. How can you expand the storage space?
So the question, if I look into it, is
Nice question.
how can I expand the storage space? That's always a question for database. Amazon RDS is relational database systems. So we have a couple of different engines there: Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, MariaDB, and Postgres. And we also have our own version, which is known as Amazon Aurora. It comes with 2 different engines, MySQL and Postgres. We have changed the engine in a way to actually improve the performance and increase the reliabilities and all those stuff with Amazon Aurora. The point is, the way we store data in Amazon Aurora is we actually copy the data 6 times in the back already, and it actually increases 10 GB automatically. So to me, it is Aurora automatically expands it. So I would go with that, but let's go into the answers available here, which maybe some user may find find that useful.
Most
too.
people have automatically jumped for 4. We got a couple of people on number 3 as well.
Okay, if someone number 4, let's see number 4. Additional storage, yeah. And number 3, select modify database, enter new value, and reboot the DB. So it's right for other relational database systems. And there's something I also want to mention, that we just released a new feature where it can auto scale. It can means the storage can auto scale for RDS too. I'll expect people to check it out.
Nice.
Resize the Amazon EBS volumes, add additional Amazon EBS volumes. I wouldn't go that way. You can resize, and you can you have to restart the database, the things you have to do. But Aurora comes with this automatically, which is a great benefit for the users, I think. Yeah, I'll go for 4.
Locking in number 4 with 87% of the people in line. Number 4 it is.
We have time for more.
That's our last one, but what I would like you to give the viewers to finish up today is maybe a bit of a tip.
Tip for
Personal
the certification?
Tip for certification for their next exam.
Certification tip is use the AWS services as much as you can. Means do hands-on if you can. There are a lot of blogs available. I love those. I've written 2. That's good.
Okay, nice plug.
Yeah, so read those blogs. The blogs are a fantastic place based on your interest. In the market, we see a lot of interest now with the serverless technologies and also machine learning and data analytics to actually get a lot more insights. So those are happening pretty fast. And
so a bit of a wider reading tip from yourself today, Naja?
Yes, yeah, I love reading. I would expect everyone to actually spend a bit time. And another one is AWS Answers. I think this is something people miss out for the certification, because this is like short answers you can actually have. Based on different topics, we have created some small answers for you. And another one is AWS Solutions, where we have a set template, have the solutions for you up and running, get your hands dirty, go with it, and keep your eyes open. There's continuously new features coming in, and we'll probably have more features too. So this would be my tips for certification in general AWS. Certification is just one part, right? You can have many.
And how many do you have, Naja?
I have 10 now.
10, almost there.
Yeah, preparing for the Alexa Skill Builder. So
next time you're on, you'll be up there with Gerardo, who we had on a few episodes ago, who's already got his 11.
Yeah, I don't want to say it, but probably wouldn't say it. But thank you, Gerardo. You have done a great job.
All right.
We'll get there.
Naja, thank you so much for joining me today on CQ.
Thank you very much, viewers.
Thank you for watching. We will see you next week back on CQ. Thank you.
Thank you.